Good boy. God, you are a good looking guy. You know? He's a good looking guy. Break. Good job. Good job. Here's the big problem to me. And it might not seem like a big problem, but I think we see the entitlement when I am here, or you know, that right there. So he's the only one so far that's fallen for this old trick of whining when I hold still. So, you know, what I do is I say, hey, I know he's got a problem with whining. So I'm gonna try to get whining out. And we do this with a lot of dogs. And the way I do it is I kind of just talk to them softly, kind of like baby talking. And I say, hey, you wanna go for a walk? And I go and grab the leash. You wanna go for a walk? I'm not super over the top, but it's like, you wanna go for a walk? If the dog loses their shit and starts whining, I'm like, this is gonna be a problem. So then I can change the association to the beginning part of the walk, which is putting the equipment on and waiting at the door to calm. Because right now, if I say walk, or if I open a door, you jiggle the door handle, a lot of dogs get very excited. So I noticed that with him. You say walk, it gets triggered up, which is fine, because you should be happy to go on a walk and excited. But what you do with that excited energy, what behaviors you choose. We don't like whining, so you're gonna have to stop that. And we don't like super excitement. We like a happy face, like, yeah, I'm ready to go, but calm. Good. You can go crazy when I say B-R-E-A-K. You can go crazy out here. You can run around, have fun. But not while we're still in the living room. I'm trying to put a leash on. We're at the door, and you know we're about to go out, so you whine. All that's got to stop. So we're setting it up for whines. We're going after those whines with him. So of course I say, you want to go for a walk? He says yes. I put on his equipment, and then I let him outside, and then I come out, and in anticipation of me opening the door, although I take a second because I'm talking to Julie, whine.
You do such a great impression.
What's that? It was just a little whine. Complaint, you know, hurry, come on, let's go. I don't want to hear your opinion though. All right, this is one of the rules between me and you and our dynamic. Okay, so then I correct him and send him away, just like we did yesterday, and then we let him back out, and then we repeat that situation. No whine, obviously, he's not a dumb dog. We let him out here. He's expecting just to go because they've done it hundreds of times in the past where he's not training, he's just boarding, and they take off, Julie and him, and he's not expecting me to hold still right here. So because I'm holding still talking to somebody, he starts whining. To me, this is just a huge no-no in our dynamic. If I'm holding still, just wait for me. Don't try to hurry me up with whining. I don't need to hear your voice, okay? Keep it to yourself and do this. Because this is what he did after. So he whined and then I corrected him, that's what he did. What's gonna happen, he's gonna be doing that and skipping the whine, because that equals aversive, this equals the desired outcome. It's either gonna be neutral or positive if I say good boy, right? And that's better than the aversive. So we're gonna get that whine to go away. He's gonna start deciding to avoid whining because it equals an aversive. If it equals an aversive, if he believes it does. So we're trying to, as we go out the day with him, be aware that he whines and try to trigger those whines out of him. I know what triggers a whine out of him. Let him see something that he wants, and then tell him not to go after it. Or better yet, don't tell him not to go after it, because he already assumes not to, because he's been through training. I just stand there, and then he looks at the thing and starts whining. And so these are the moments that we're working on. Always though, after a correction, he does a great job at getting into the mindset that he's supposed to be in, which is great. So that's good. So now we have the recipe for success. We just need to do it on continue. We need to be
consistent.
Consistent. There it is. Very consistent with it, so that the belief is formed and that he ditches that behavior of whining, and then we're good to go. Because that's the big one for me right now. Everything else is not so bad, but we haven't done dog socialization yet. That's going to come up soon. Break.
Oh, good boy.
Now he does. Beautiful. Because we get to go after the whines. If we're in a quiet room and we just hear, nobody hears anything, it's peaceful, and then you just hear, and the dog hears themselves whine, and then it's followed by me looking at them and then giving them a correction on the collar. So they learn to hear their own voice and go, oh, whoops, I better not do that. And then that gets a dog who's self-regulating. They're trying to keep themselves quiet, which then that gets praised, and that will eventually be the default mode of the dog. You know, they'll know how to be passive and quiet and calm, not wishing I could be interactive, even though I'm not supposed to. So I'm going to sit here and whine about it, okay, and complain about it. Now he's not the worst whiner in the world. Go potty, break. Good boy, break, go potty. Go ahead, go potty. Orientation is towards the living thing. You know what I mean? Like he's got this whole field to go and explore. But the gravitational pull is towards the people or anything that's alive, you know? It's normal. Transitioning from one event to the next seems to be moments of the anticipatory anxiety, right? So if we are getting ready to go for a walk, then he starts to get anxious about it because he's anticipating it, right? That's fine and all, but stay calm and don't make any noise. Okay? I'm sure it's like that with everything. Like we're about to go for a ride, or we're about to do this, or we're about to transition from here to here. It's normal. And I think that's also why we see, if you're sitting in the living room with nothing going on for an hour, then all of a sudden somebody gets up and walks out the door, there's a whine because that just switched up the environment. There's a change, and like I said before, if he's not involved in that, or now there's options. What if I wanted to go with that person and didn't want to stay here, or whatever's going on in his head? It's the whine. The reason why that's important is so then you can know when to be ready, how to set these things up if you're interested in getting rid of it, because that's what I would do. I set it up. Get a nice chunk of it just under your control where he's not doing anymore by doing setups, and then of course hold him accountable in real life if he does let out whines to correct. Okay? So it almost seems like, I understand that people who live with dogs who whine like that they don't realize that you don't have to. They don't realize that a lot of people with dogs who have issues, and I experienced this early on, they think that their dog is the one that can't be saved, that can't be fixed. This dog is, this is the one that you can't quite get control over. And the truth is, that's just not true, right? Remember when I first started dog training, my grandmother's dog, she was like, you can't fix this dog. Nobody can stop this dog, not this dog. And I spent like 30 minutes with the dog and stopped a whole bunch of problems. And it's just because it's like, no, I can, but you can't, right? Nanny, grandma. And then, so the thing is like, yes, it depends on who they're living with and the relationship. So absolutely, this guy does not have to live with an entitled mind. He does, and is what's creating the whining. It just is. But he does live that way currently, and it is the truth that he feels entitled to our interactions, to our food, to our comfy spots in our house. I mean, I came out with an orange into the play yard, and he came up to me like I was going to share it with him. This is entitlement. He should look at me like if I get close to his food, he might retaliate, because that's what dogs do to each other, but he doesn't. Because they grow up with humans, they tend to soften themselves, these dogs do, right? He doesn't realize that that's a disrespect until I bring it to his attention. He's like, oh, that's a disrespect, because other humans don't treat it as a disrespect. If the dog comes up and begs for food, they give him a piece of food. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that he gets rewarded. I don't know what happens at home. All I know is what he's showing me, and that's what I'm basing everything off of. I am seeing number one problem, he's an entitled dog. He feels entitled to make his own decisions and to be included in everything. That's really what I'm seeing. I think everything that we don't like that he does is a result of him believing that he's, one of the top members in the pack with you. He feels like he's entitled to be making his own decisions and to be dealing with situations and to be a part of things and to express himself through whining. If he wants to do something else, to open his mouth and make a noise that he would like to, that he's not happy with the situation. I'd prefer a different situation now by whining. And that's just, to me, is just a very entitled dog. And if you change your relationship with him, that'll change. That will change. By the time he leaves here, he's not going to be whining here anymore, if that tells you anything, right? Right now, I'm trying to get him to do it. I'm putting him in situations that get it out of him. So yes, the whine matters because it leads to first of all, an annoyance. It's an annoying thing, but it's just a dog who's not completely under your leadership. They complain about it. Like, they might do what you say, but they're over there complaining about what you say. It's like, that's not acceptable under my umbrella of leadership. You can't sit there and complain about your circumstances. You're on a cushy bed in a beautiful home with heat, You get all this great food and toys. Don't complain because I want you to not go and do X, Y, or Z. Okay? So that's the mentality to have. We change our mentality, we change how we treat the dog, we change how the dog treats us. All right, let's go, bud.